Welcome to the Red Eye stream, coming to you live from the Cascade Mountains up here in the war zone that is Oregon State. I got my friend here, Doku. He wants to go on a rant. So, what are you ranting about first, buddy? And we could do some small talk while we wait on people to get in here, or you could just go for it.
I mean, I wouldn't really call it a rant. I would just call it small talk first. Like, bro, you're the one over there in Portland. You're the one living in the fucking war zone. I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you not looked around Virginia? You're not necessarily safe either.
It's nowhere near what you're going through, dude. Hey, have you looked at Portland?
Yeah, I looked at it and bought my wife a gun. Yeah, I looked at Portland. But now they're suing several branches of the federal government because of Trump had to finally move in and start shutting stuff down. Either that, or I heard an interesting take on this, and I saved it even for on air. Tim Pool was talking. I know, not the mountain lion, but Tim Pool was talking, and he's like, look, I was at Occupy Wall Street, and I saw cops just run out and grab this guy and throw him in the back of the car. He wasn't doing anything, right? And then he went back to the protest, and he's like, guys, this just happened. And they're like, yeah, we were right here when he was arrested. So this guy was arrested and then dropped off 10 minutes later and rearrested? No, this guy was an informant.
Well, no, that's not even my point. Like, dude, look at what's going on in Portland. You already see like all the people who are like pro protest and everything like this. Oh my God, how could you do this? How how on earth? How on earth could you do this? Oh, it's terrible. Uh, I can tell you how. Well, the state, the city, they didn't do anything. You've had 5 coming on 6 weeks. You haven't done anything. The police haven't done anything. You've seen riots. You've seen fires in front of police precincts. They haven't done anything. And yeah, okay. The second that they actually turn their attention to federal buildings, well, what the heck? Well, what happens? The federal police come up and say, "Hey, uh, all of you, no, we don't care about you, but you come with us. Boom, get in the car. What do you think they're doing? Wait, what do you think they're really doing? Look at how long this has been going on. Portland, this is not a new thing. So let me start here because I talked about this on Twitter before. Think about it from this perspective. Portland has had an Antifa, a far left problem for a while now. And when I say a while, I mean years. And they have facilitated this problem. They've done nothing to quell it. I would actually make the argument that they have facilitated this problem. There are probably people within the government themselves that are co-conspirators and conspirators with far left activist groups like Antifa, where they're actually providing them a safe haven. So if it were me, were I to declare Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let them actually consolidate. I'm going to let the leadership elements think that they're safe. And I'm going to let them go ahead, and the city's not going to do anything. The state's not going to do anything. And, let them go ahead and do their thing. Let them go ahead and burn down some private property, some state property, and let them feel comfortable. The second they move against a federal building, boom, there you go. There's your honeypot. Go in and, hey, you, All of you guys, we don't care about you. But you, we've been looking at you. You're a leadership element. Do you know how the black bloc works? Remove the black bloc. They have strength in numbers. Take them away. Take that one person who has leadership elements, take him away, put him in the car, and interrogate him. I want to know what you want to know. And if you don't tell me what you want to know, guess what? There's your 10 years. You think he's not going to squeal? You think he's not going to tell me what I want to know?
Well, no.
Otherwise, you get 10 years?
Yeah, but here's the thing. They're not getting 10 years. They're being booked and released because of COVID. I mean, these people are burning down buildings.
But that's not the point, Dodge. Here's the point. Here's the point. How do you take down a terrorist cell? You're not the way these terrorist cells work. There's no big bad. There's no general. These people that are being targeted, they're being targeted specifically for a reason. It's because they know something. It's because they have information. They're being targeted very specifically. Why do you think when they get approached by these federal police, the ones in fatigues, why do you think they just put their hands behind their back? They know they're fucking made. They know they're made.
And let's introduce Farty here real quick, Doku. I know I named this Doku Rants, and I plan on letting you rant. But welcome, Farty. How are you doing today?
Oh, I've had a fucking special morning.
We are live, so if you don't want to talk,
I know. No. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right. Hit me up later, and I'll talk to you about whatever happened if you want. If you need to vent.
Oh fuck! If I do, I think I'll have a heart attack.
No. Oh, okay. All right. Then just calm down, buddy. Doku.
Just real quick on this though. I think, Doku, you're mistaking terrorism for fifth columnists. There is actually a difference.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead, Farty. I want to know.
Okay, well, terrorists do work in cells. They do have leadership and all this. There is a head and a chain and all this kind of stuff. Like take the Mumbai terrorist attack, for example. There was a mufti or a cleric that was running that whole show, and he was getting his orders from higher up and all this. Fifth columnists, however, are a lot worse than terrorists because they are more designed to work in ones and twos, to actually go in and infiltrate into places of the government, places of the military and all this kind of stuff. And I wouldn't put it past you if fifth columnists have been the ones that are running around setting fire to all these Navy ships and things like that, to get right into the bowels of a ship and like do something like set a fire, something innocuous like that. And it's all designed to just destabilize and upset things so people aren't so coherent and coordinated and things like that. That's the whole point of a fifth columnist. And usually with a terrorist attack, it's only just going to be the attack itself. That's the whole point of it, to cause fear and mayhem. But with a fifth columnist, its whole thing is designed as a prelude to an even bigger thing. And this is what we really need to worry about.
Well, and that's kind of my point, and that's where I'm going with this. Is when you look at a lot of these the bagging and tagging, or people being vanned, as they say in Portland. If you look at the videos that we have access to, these are not just random people being just targeted. They're just out of nowhere. They're very, very specifically calculated people where they know exactly who they are. They don't try to run away. They put their hands up behind their back. They know exactly why they're being targeted.
And at this point in time, though, no one's looking for fifth columnists. Not one person is standing up saying, right, we have fifth columnists in our midst. And it's not until when everybody starts to realise that and get to grips with that, then we can use certain sedition laws and bring in certain War Powers Acts and things like that, because this is part of espionage and things like that. You can literally have these people charged with like being a spy.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, Farty, you would know this better than I, because you're part of the Commonwealth. Why were the Irish Republican Army considered terrorists and not fifth columnists then?
That is because they were only fighting for their own independence. They weren't actually trying to, try and take over the UK and all this kind of stuff. And just after 9/11, they renounced their terrorism ship and all this kind of stuff, and then just basically solely focused on Sinn Féin, where they were doing political activism and things like that through actual political parties and things like that. As soon as like terrorism became like not the in thing, the Irish Republican Army basically went, well, we'll disband. We don't want the Yanks on us. So yeah, like the Irish just wanted Ireland. They didn't want to take over the UK or anything like that. And had that been the case, then yes, it would be fifth columnists working in prelude to a major attack. But these are just small little isolated incidences like car bombs and shootings and things like that. That's more a terrorist kind of thing.
Okay, go ahead, Doku. I cut you off. Sorry.
Well, no, what's going on here in Portland is because the government of Portland has allowed, and this is not recent, this is over the course of years, the government of Portland has allowed essentially a safe haven for these fringe radical elements to operate with essentially impunity, with no one from the government to really stop them from doing whatever the hell it is they want to do. And again, this has been going on for years. It would actually be surprising to me if there weren't elements within the government that are actually working with these radical cells. We've already seen that in Berkeley, where groups that are working with not only within the government, but also within the educational system, who are actually organizing these types of protests, violent protests. Mm-hmm. You see the same thing going on in Portland. So, they become comfortable. So let me ask you this question, and Farty would actually know exactly what I'm talking about. You let your enemy become comfortable. You let them go ahead and burn things down, do what they do. You let them become emboldened. Mm-hmm. Give them enough time to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So what might be, a bottom tier, mid tier cell, now all of a sudden, well, they have what they perceive to be a safe haven. And not only do you provide them with a safe haven, but you provide them with a safe haven in a city that provides them with a lot of soft targets where they can go ahead and, do pretty much whatever the hell the fuck it is they want. So what is that going to attract? It's going to attract leadership elements. Once you get leadership elements in there, you can at least grab one or two of them, and this is what you have to understand about the way that Antifa works. The way that Antifa works is, obviously you have the useful idiots. You have the black bloc who just show up where it's like, we're going to wear black clothes and we're going to say, hey, hey, ho, ho. But they're not part of the actual group itself. They're just the ones that show up because, hey, we're gonna. They saw a Facebook post.
Rent a crowd. Hey,
we're gonna. Yeah, they're the LARPers. They're the ones that, they didn't show up to some meeting like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. There is the ones that show up in black clothing and it's like, hey, yeah, we're gonna go protest. They're not the ones that are gonna show up and actually organized. There is an element that is organized. That's the leadership element. But you want that leadership element to be at least comfortable enough to show themselves. Mm-hmm. Once that leadership element has established themselves in that area, you let them get comfortable. Once they get comfortable, they show themselves. Then you start identifying who that leadership element is. And once that is done, I know you know how this works.
Well, why don't you cut to the chase though, and actually infiltrate the element and become the leadership like the CIA used to do, and to back you up, they are being helped by the government. The feds that are taking these people and arresting them are now being sued by the state of Oregon.
Because
The
if you
whole
move,
state is
because
helping.
if you move too quickly, you scare them away. They're a skittish bunch. You let them get comfortable first, and then you let them make their move, and you identify them. And that's once you identify them and you know who they are beyond a shadow of a doubt, then without a shadow of a doubt, you come in and you take them and you pluck them away, because you have to remember how Antifa works. Antifa has the useful idiots around them, then they have the inner circle. You have the people that are not willing to actually commit violence, but they're willing to block any type of anyone that's actually willing to see them. They'll obstruct any type of visual recognition. And then you have the
Obstructions are
people,
way less a charge than actually doing something wrong.
and they're the ones that protect the people that are actually willing to do the real damage, and the ones that are actually willing to commit acts of violence. But even then, that's not who you're going for, because they're still foot soldiers. What you want, though, the real big fish, are the ones that are actually organizing it. So you go ahead and let them do their damage. But the ones you want are the organizers. Once you get the organizers, guess what? Not only can you make them squeal, but it also breaks their morale. But you need at least someone who is in some leadership capacity. It doesn't have to be someone who's like running the Twitter account of like Rose City Antifa or something like that. You need someone who's actually teaching people how to do these things. Someone who knows someone who's on the inside. Because the way Antifa operates, they're ballsy if they're in groups, but get them alone, they'll break. They'll break fucking really easy. And that's what this whole thing is about. Why do you think they're picking out people very selectively? Like, there's no reason that they're just walking down the street, like ignoring everyone else, and they target one specific fucking person. Why do you think the people are around like, who are you? What's your name? Who are you? What's your name? Do you think these idiots actually know who this person is? Of course they don't, because that's another fucking defense mechanism. They don't want you to know who their name is because they want to pretend that they're innocent, but they're not. That's the leadership element. That's who they're going after.
Okay, I gotta address the chat. Goatman says, correct me if I'm wrong, George Soros funds Antifa. No, I don't believe I don't believe you're wrong at all. And I think the DNC funds them as well. I think the DNC is happy that half the country is on fire because they want Trump gone. But all they're doing is solidifying the base that's going to vote Trump back in. But then they're going to fight again. I mean, we got to break the cycle. The people doing the damage need to go.
See, wouldn't it be great if, like, I don't know, maybe the feds or the CIA had the ability to, I don't know, sneakily go and just check people's bank accounts without people knowing and seeing if they had links to the DNC and Soros and things like that? Oh, wait, they did, but fucking, what was his fucking stupid name? Fucking fucked that up by telling every bastard.
Well, yeah, and Doku, this is directed, and I agree with you, Farty, but Doku, this is directed at you. Okay, we infiltrated the white supremacist groups, and then we took them down. They are they do exist, but they are virtually non-existent compared to how they were before, right? David Duke, do you even give a shit about this guy anymore? I know I fucking don't.
He has no power.
Exactly. So you infiltrate, and it might take, I don't know. I want it done quicker, but it might take years. It took years to take down the Klan. Let's be honest.
Well, the thing is, what's happening in Portland right now is the people that are getting bagged and tagged, it's a very specific specific group of people, and they're the ones that actually have information. So yeah, they might let them off after you tell me what I want to know. And if you don't tell me what I want to know, then guess what? You're being brought up on domestic terrorism charges and you're going to jail for 10 years. These guys are not that fucking ballsy. They're ballsy when they're in a group of 20, 30 people where they can all be protected and have their black bloc. But when they can get singled out, why do you think they put up their hands and are like, "Ah, shit, I'm caught"? Yeah, you're caught. Now it's just you and me in a room by ourselves. Tell me what you know.
Well,
otherwise you're going to jail for 10 years.
Yeah, and at the same time, the state itself is suing to protect the rioters. Like, I don't even like pointing out that it's Antifa and Black Lives Matter because everybody already knows it. We've said it ad nauseum. There's no need to point it out and get ruined by the algorithm at this point. But at the same time, the county I'm in had its largest increase of coronavirus. You want to know how much it was? 40 people. But the rest of us have to stay at home and hide. I haven't been to the store in I don't know how long because I'm not going to wear a fucking mask. I'm not going to do it. And someone else brought this up. I don't remember who. You have the big businesses like Walmart still open. They're still there. What's happening in small town America? Desolate.
Well, people still do need to get groceries and stuff like that.
It's just when you're in a county of over 600,000 and the increase of 40 is the most on record so far of the virus that's only killing 1% of the people that actually catch it, and you lock down everybody, require masks, smile while you pin it in. You don't let anybody vote. You just pin it in, governor. Yeah, you smile while you do it, but then you sue the federal government for arresting rioters. Don't you see the problem here? It's a massive division between everybody, I guess. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's what China wants.
Go ahead and go in on that point because you and I were talking about that, and it was really interesting. I want to see what Doku has to say.
Well, it's quite simple. China is making a play. Yeah, they're kicking up a stink. Dodge is now a bit more appraised of the situation, where it's not just America, it's not just Japan, it's not just Australia, it's India. There's Pakistan's involved, bloody Iran's involved, all the Southeast Asia's involved, and this coronavirus is basically it's hitting the US public in a way that is specifically designed. I know from talking to conspiracy theorists and all this kind of stuff is that they don't tend to listen to the government anyway, and you can play completely on that, which is what most of this rhetoric is. It's like we just simple mistrust of the government, and that's just not an American thing. That's the reason why Ebola was so bad in Sierra Leone, because the people there still didn't trust the government and things like that. The whole point is, while you guys are internally fighting, going, well, my freedoms and I need to get out and do this, or I'm protesting, they've also chucked in the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa shit thing. So everyone's too busy infighting inside of America, and no one's paying attention to what China is in fact actually doing. And this is all by design. It is bringing down the United States without even having to fire a shot. And let's see, Sun Tzu, he was Chinese, and what did he say? The best way to win a war is to win it without firing a shot.
Yeah, and Dade gave me $3. Here's some money. Go buy yourself a Mountain Dew, you hillbilly. All right, I will do. Thank you very much, sir.
So while you guys are basically trying to analyze this situation, trying to find that out, you really aren't looking at what else is happening. And when someone like me comes along and says, no, this is the actual bigger picture, 90% of the time I get, no, 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 you're in league with our government, and this is also, you'll get us to vote a certain way, and that is so fucking not the case. It's not funny. The rest of the world is not just going to fucking close their eyes and shut their ears and manipulate you lot into someone that we particularly don't want in power. Like, we don't want fucking Bernie Sanders in power. Fuck that cunt. Like, we don't want to manipulate you. We can't manipulate your elections or you guys' opinions on your elections. And if it was only just you guys, you'd have a point. But it is happening around the world. And this thing with Antifa and BLM, they tried the exact same cut copy bullshit here. And it sort of kind of worked. There was a fringe element of dumb shit university students that, you know, can't think for themselves, who came out, oh, Black Lives Matter and all this. And it was like about 15 of them, right? Because even the Aboriginals are saying, no, black deaths in custody, not really a thing. Black abuse, not really a thing. In fact, the Aboriginals have got way better conditions than white Australians do here. Like, just by virtue of the fact that they're born a certain colour or with certain blood in them, they get basically free welfare for their entire life. They get free education, free medical care, and they've got a whole bunch of other rights and stuff like that we don't have as white Australians. So if anything, the racist side of things is actually on the Aboriginals, not the white Australians. And they basically turned around and said, no, BLM, fuck off. You're not welcome here. This isn't happening. Go away and cause your shit somewhere else. So that you can put down to just China assuming that Australia is exactly the same as America, because, well, we're white and we speak English, so, you know, same shit, different smell. But it's two different cultures, and their cookie cutter tactics doesn't work out here because, well, it turns out it's bullshit over in America as well. And you still got people who is claiming that the coronavirus is fake and all this kind of stuff, yet they don't seem to realise, don't want to understand, or haven't heard yet that there is a swine flu coming out. There's bubonic plague in some of the stands at the moment. And they don't have the consideration that this could be a binary thing as well. While everybody's got the coronavirus and it hasn't really killed as many people as what we thought at the moment, remembering that this is only 7 months into this and we don't actually know what it will do yet. The swine flu could be a binary thing. The bird flu is a precursor. The swine flu is the one that's actually going to hurt everybody. Maybe it'll just sterilize everybody and China will play the long game out of it. But what is absolutely sure is when the swine flu does hit America, no cunt's going to fucking listen to no one. You are definitely not getting any quarantines fucking done. Everyone's just going to kick up a massive fucking stink, and the conspiracy theorists will run with the whole, oh, well, the last one didn't work, so they're going to do this one, and the last one wasn't that bad, so let's just all get this one and play into the China's hands. Like, willingly go and get the virus, willingly go and get yourself sterilized or killed off or whatever, and then China can just walk in.
All right, we got another super chat already. Thank you guys. Goatman, I definitely stand with you. He said, get some Doritos too. Will do, buddy.
Because, well, the swine flu is also coming out of Wuhan too. And there is a chemical weapons lab in Wuhan.
Yeah, there's a V4 virology lab in Wuhan. There's actually two. But the one that we're talking about is the level 4.
Yeah, but is that fair for us to judge that? Because, I mean, there's a chemical weapons depot right along the highway in Eastern Oregon. You know what I mean? Like, we have them too.
Yeah. Well, you guys haven't had a leak from
the virus come out of fucking Oregon?
No.
Obviously not, or shit would be a lot worse. I'm really wondering why it hit the South so hard, though. Because right as I was leaving Louisiana, they really skyrocketed. My family's okay, by the way. But
okay, I can tell you that because I used to work in logistics. I can tell you exactly why the hell that happened. Because this is gone by the wayside. The reason it hit the West Coast, first off, Yes, the West Coast is the closest to China. But when it comes to the West Coast, most commercial flights go into LAX.
Mm-hmm.
But
And then
when
you
it
spring off from
comes
there.
but when it comes to something like like biological materials, something that's going to have to go through a higher degree of scrutiny, especially when it comes to biological materials, it's not going to LAX. LAX is transit. That's just people flying from one area to another. That's commercial transit. You're not bringing anything biological from
Are you,
Wuhan to LAX.
are you saying that this might have been? Are we going full tinfoil Alex Jones mode? Because it sounds like you're saying that it was carried on freight that arrived in New Orleans, and then it spread
Well,
out from
No,
there.
you're not taking it to New Orleans. No, New Orleans would be a different way. No, you're not. What I'm saying is you're not taking it to one of the major hub, the major transit hub of the Western Coast. That would be LAX. You're not bringing a infectious virus on an airplane that's going to LAX. That is the number one transit hub on the West Coast, especially the one that's coming from China. No, you're diverting that to either Portland or Seattle. You're not bringing it to fucking LAX. End of story. Like, that's just
Yeah,
basic.
but I didn't mean like the south of me, like California. I meant look at the map on what's red. It's Louisiana, it's Florida, it's the south
But
eastern
it's
states.
coming from China. You're still bringing it to somewhere on the West Coast. It's gonna stop down. It's gonna stop somewhere on the West Coast. You're not bringing it to any of those locations. It's gonna stop somewhere on the West Coast first. End of story.
well,
Then why?
Here's another thing you guys need to start sort of realizing and considering as well is that, all right, Victoria obviously didn't fucking bother with the quarantines and the lockdowns, and they've still got epidemics down there. We locked the borders off to Victoria, and Queensland's locked the borders off to Victorians and some people from New South Wales. And since that happened, you should see the amount of fucking Victorians, these people who look like they've either just come out of university or are still in university, that just absolutely positively have to get out of the state and go somewhere other than fucking Victoria. And some of them have even gone all the way up to the Queensland border. They've gotten out of their vehicles and they've tried to cross the border on foot away from the checkpoints and all this kind of stuff. And when you got cunts doing that, you can't help but think, yes, we got fifth columnists and things like that. And now we do have people that are sort of like, we got parts around Sydney and New South Wales where they're saying these mystery cases are coming up. People are just popping up, at random with this shit. And we've linked one outbreak to a traveller from Victoria who went to a pub on a Saturday night. Unwittingly, I've just come from Victoria and I'll just go to a public place. And, well, that place got fucking infected. And now it's gone in Victoria from, a couple of cases a day. Now there's I think the last count was 370 something yesterday. And that was 370 something more than the 300 and something that was the day before. And that was more than the 300 something that was the day before, more than the 200 something that was the day before. So these is in the last 3 days, it's 900 people have been infected. And these are cropping up out of fucking nowhere. So dead set, we've got fucking fifth columnists and seditionists, and they're probably even bloody white Americans or white Australians or wherever. And I guarantee you, with your highway system and all this kind of stuff, this is part of the problem with society in general, is that, transport's been made so fucking easy, it's not funny. Within an hour of one point in America, you could be 100 miles away quite easily. And what's in 100 miles?
Wait, have you been tracking my wife? Because she goes 90 everywhere. I swear to God. She's in Portland in an hour and a half from the Cascades. She flies down I-5. I don't blame her. I mean, then you have plausible deniability if someone's blocking the highway, right?
Yeah. And what are you going to know? Some random person comes into your little cafe in whatever little town that you're at, has some lunch or something like that, and sweats all over the place, and then he buggers off, and then an hour later he's 90 miles down the road, infecting another little town, and then an hour after that he's another 90 miles down the road. You know, and like all you're going to say is like, oh, some random person didn't really take much notice of him. Didn't really. It's the first time I've seen him. It's not a local. How are you going to track that fucker? In the meantime, you got 10 people from the first place, 4 people from the next place, 6 people from the next place. They'll go home, they'll mingle with their family, their families will go out, they'll mingle with other people, and by the time they've figured it out, that 10 in the first one's now 50, that 4 in the next one's now 30, and the next one, so forth and so forth. But you still haven't caught patient 0 yet. And this is the concerning thing.
Well, are you guys thinking that maybe, because we keep talking about the casualty rate from this disease or flu or whatever you want to call it, right? And it's really, really low. But do you think there's going to be long-term health effects for the people that catch it?
Absolutely. That's something that we do already know, especially with your lungs. It causes scarring similar to tuberculosis. It basically turns healthy lungs into 40-year pack-a-day smoker lungs. All right. So if you get it, even if like at a young age, like if you're in your teens, you're now emphysemic pretty much the rest of your life. You can't climb stairs. You can't do physical activity. No playing sports. You know, you're effectively now going to be chronic fatigue syndrome for the rest of your life. Now, if the whole population has that, and China attacks, and we're too fucking useless to or asthmatic and all this kind of shit to even walk up the road, let alone bloody defend ourselves. You see where I'm going with this?
Go ahead, Doku. What do you got? Go ahead.
Why are you asking me?
Because I get what he's saying, and I don't really have a response. I figured maybe you did. And the name of the, in the description, it says you were going to rant. So respond, dickhead.
Oh, well, I mean, do you want the soft response or do you want the hard response?
I don't know. How do you prefer it, Farty?
Full noise.
All right, full noise. Completely cut China off, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just cut them off. They're done. Shut them off. Let them do trade with Russia. They can do trade with Syria. They can do trade with India, Pakistan, whatever. India's gonna fuck them up, by the way. No, cut China off. China's done.
Well, China's going to be dealing with Pakistan and India and probably some of the other stands and things like that. So a lot of the smaller countries that we've been overlooking and all this kind of stuff. Everyone needs to understand that China and Russia have actually fucking hated each other since like way back in as far back as the Vietnam War. They had a big falling out there, and they really haven't been friends ever since. Now China's making a play for Vladivostok, which is pissing off Putin. The Admiral Kuznetsov burnt so bad it got written off in port up in Archangel, I think it was, which I'm thinking is part and parcel of a prelude to a Chinese attack. Just get rid of their aircraft carrier. Because, their aircraft carrier and their planes are way better than the Kuznetsov class carrier that they've got, and the Sukhois have got down-rated engines that the Chinese have got. And the Russians did that on purpose. Like, the Chinese went, oh, we'd like some of these super powerful Sukhoi engines for our Sukhois. And the Russians went, yeah, here's your special technical package there, mate. So they can't fly, the Chinese can't fly their aircraft off their aircraft carriers with a full weapons and fuel load. That's what that translates into, just decreases their range and capabilities. Another thing with Russia is that they're selling arms to India. And what is massively telling about that is that America hasn't vetoed it. Not only has America not vetoed it, they're allowing it. Not only are they allowing it, they're also offering to sell India stuff too. And it's very, very rare that you'll have both, a Warsaw Pact country and a NATO country selling to the same country quite openly like this. So, if anything, if shit kicks off with China, I can actually see Putin siding with us.
So many things I want to say. So many things I can't say.
Well, okay, then I'll add to what he was just saying. You have 3 fleets, like I've said on a prior stream, U.S. fleets already parked in the South China Sea. We're running flybys. We're fucking going. We're going wherever we want. You have conflict with Vietnam and China, and I know Vietnam will get its ass kicked. But then
Nope.
again, maybe not. We didn't kick their ass, did we?
Oh, wait, hold on.
In fact, China's already lost the war to Vietnam. In 1979, they had a fucking border dispute and stuff like that, and Vietnam won.
I was gonna say, Dodge, war with Vietnam. Do you realize that Vietnam is actually more of our ally at this point?
No,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Vietnam is on our side. Also, you have Australia. I can't believe I never knew this, but they're actually pretty damn good with their navy. They're headed straight to South China Sea.
Okay, better question. Better question. Let's just cut through all the bullshit. Who is China's ally?
Pakistan and Iran at the moment.
All right. Who is allies with Pakistan and Iran? Who are they going to ally with?
I don't know. But the thing is, that's scary that Iran and not necessarily Pakistan, but the Pakistan-India thing might come into play here. That might go hot. We've known that for 20 or 30 years, right?
But who are they going to ally with? Are they going to pick China? Or are they going to pick Russia?
Oh no, they've already picked China. No, this is all fucking the Pakistani president's fucking already. Yeah, this happened a couple of years ago. They've had trade deals and all this kind of stuff. China's about to open up a port in Pakistan, which is going to infringe on India's trade and all this kind of stuff. Iran's already siding with China in all of this. This is all part and parcel of the shit with the Straits of Hormuz kicking up a stink about that. And in fact, Iran's the one that you probably will have to worry about in a ground war, like with tactics and experience and all this kind of stuff, because in the last few years in Syria and in northern Iraq and all this kind of stuff, the Iranians have been using the Iranian Republican Guard, the IRGC, in league with people like Bashar al-Assad and elements in northern Iraq, like I'm pretty sure they have been fighting with the Kurds and they've been fighting against ISIS. So they've actually been having boots on the ground, getting practical first-hand experience in combat. So the Chinese are war hungry, but very inexperienced, and they'll be mainly a walk in the park as far as actually shooting at them goes. The Pakistanis are too busy with their hatred of the Hindus, so I'm expecting them to be pretty localized in there, and the Indians will mostly take care of those. But it's the Iranians; they've actually got some decent experience in ground warfare. So if we do get a shooting war where we've got to put boots on the ground, they're the ones that are probably going to be the most effective out of the 3.
Well, Goatman said that Justin Trudeau is an ally with China. I don't see how he can get away with that and be in the Commonwealth. But that being said,
no, Goatman is right. You would be surprised at how allied Canada is with China. It's actually rather disturbing.
Yeah, however, that's the reason why it's the benefit of having a head of state like the Queen, because the Queen can is quite simply just remove him on a whim. The instant it turns out that fucking being in league with China is treason, fucking he'll be told to either change his attitude or else he'll be fucked off. And if he doesn't change his attitude, he will be fucked off and be replaced with someone who does, see our point of view. We've got the similar thing out here with the state premier in Victoria, Daniel Andrews, and he tried to slip in the Belt and Road Initiative whilst everyone was under lockdown and all this kind of stuff. And it's only a matter of time before he gets ousted and we get to lynch that motherfucker.
Well, and what I was trying to say, what worries me about Iran here is the Strait of Hormuz is how we get how we got most of our foreign oil. I know we're now oil independent, but that's during peacetime. If we go to a hot war, we might need to go and get more oil, and he'll shut that down. And he'll have the backing of the Chinese Navy, which actually does exist, and it's not that bad. Have you seen their carriers? They're kind of cool.
Yeah, they've got a lot of equipment. That's the bigger concerning part about it, and a big thing in military strategy nowadays is that we're not really talking about one super battleship that can just shrug off a whole bunch of attacks and stuff like that. We're now talking about whole bunches of small stuff that can launch lots and lots of missiles, because your missile defense systems and all that kind of stuff, they only carry so much ammunition, and you throw enough shit at the wall, some of it's going to stick. And that's what the Chinese are focusing on. Just like they're going to swarm us, pretty much. And this is all part and parcel of the repealing of the one-child policy and all this kind of stuff. Like, they've already got the numbers. The main reason why they wanted to get rid of the one-child policy was because, well, they're already having internal strife and all this kind of stuff at the moment. Can you imagine what would happen if they started sending their single children off to die in a far-off land, and then have the parents sitting there with the prospects of no welfare when they get old? No one's going to look after them. Their quality of care is going to be horrific. They're basically just going to be left to starve and die, and that'll cause up major upheaval. One thing that has happened just recently, though, is that the Communist Party in China, every year they have this little symposium in this little tiny fucking town somewhere. No one says shit about it. They all just show up at this place and they have a meeting. And these are like, former presidents and higher ranking members of the CCP. Apparently these cunts have got a lot of throw, and no one invited Ping this time. So I'm wondering if these talks are like, is Ping really doing the right thing? Is he going to ruin us, or should we get rid of him? Or like, there's a lot of upheaval going on inside of China as well. And this is what they were trying to avoid with the one-child policy. At least have one child still left in your family, so as they can look after the old people, and you can just waste one.
Well, go ahead, Doku.
No, I'm gonna let you go ahead, because I know the strategy. I'm not gonna say how I know the strategy, but I'm gonna tell you I know the strategy, and it's actually really fucked up. But go ahead, and then I'll tell you what the strategy is.
All right. Well, I only had one quick thing to say anyway, so get ready. No. All right. When it comes to China building the artificial islands, they're on top of coral reefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there no upheaval from the environmentalists?
Because when the shit really does hit the fan and you really need them to grow a pair and fucking stand up, they're nowhere to be fucking seen, just like in bushfires.
All right, Doku, it's your go. I'm actually going to get up and walk around and use the restroom for a second, so go for it.
All right. Well, this is the strategy, and it's the same strategy that's been used by the EU to destabilize Europe. And you take the young and the disenfranchised, and you move them into what was once a stabilized region, and you destabilize the region by using said young and disenfranchised to you subvert the region. They're young, they're hungry, they're children. They don't share the same cultural values that you do, and they subvert your culture to something that it is not. Not a single shot fired. There's no war. It's just you flood that culture with another culture and you subvert it And that's what happens. And I know people be like, how how dare you not take in these poor people, these poor children, they they're starving, and they they would die without your help. Yeah, and as soon as they grow up, they're gonna fucking kill your fathers and rape your mothers and do all this and everything. But you don't think about that now, do you? No,
I
you
did.
just yes, people who have an idea of what exactly the hell is going on, they would recognize the fact like this is not you taking in someone out of the goodness of your own heart. You're taking in someone who is willing to fucking rape and kill you. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy. You're taking in people who would rape and kill you. You're taking in like, oh my god, look at the cute little 13-year-old who was about to stab you in the fucking head and then rape your fucking wife. Those are the people you're accepting.
Well, actually, it's going to go a bit like this. They've already bought large swathes of land, and this is another thing that they tend to do is that they'll only staff their land with Chinese people. So it's a little microcosm of little tiny China, and these people won't talk to the locals. They won't talk to anybody else. They'll only keep to themselves. They're actually instructed to do so. They're not being paid very well. They're probably not even legitimately legal in your country and all this kind of stuff. But when you're talking about some of the farms in Australia and then some of the farms in like the Midwest in the United States, these are like really huge swathes of land. These are like hundreds of kilometers that they can just simply lock off and is now part of communist China. And this is another concerning thing with what's going on in Hong Kong at the moment with the sedition laws there. And it's basically what China has said is that even if like you in your house, Doku, right where you are right now, if you say shit about the Communist Party in China or Hong Kong, you have broken the Hong Kong sedition law. Regardless that you're not even in Hong Kong, you've still broken it. And if China gets their grubby little mitts on you, say for instance you just happen to be driving through one of these towns and they somehow recognise you, well, they'll arrest you with their own police under their own local laws. And this also means you can be extradited back to Beijing, where you can face the charges of sedition laws in Hong Kong. That's what they're trying to do. And this is something that they can very well do because they're already doing it now. And I guarantee you, right up front, when this does happen, all governments are just going to go, oh, well, there's nothing much we can do about it until like it does become apparent it's a very, very huge problem. And then they'll stop the extraditions and all this kind of stuff. But they'll fucking go with it at first because they're too stupid to figure out what's going on.
Well, and again, that's kind of the point I'm getting at is, yeah, it seems like it's not a big issue now.
No. But when you kill a communist Chinese person who wants to arrest you and send you off to fucking Beijing, guess what's going to happen?
Oh, I was not communist. I'm just political. Oh, racism. Oh, he say, oh, fuck off, Hongkook. Oh, he say, go home, China man. Oh, he tell me he racist. He very racist. He attacked me.
And then you get arrested for fucking attacking him.
And unfortunately, it's gonna. I hate to say this. It's gonna come down to the point where you're either gonna have to bend the knee to the CCP, or you're gonna have to balls up, and well, we know how that ends.
Well, that kind of leads into what you really wanted to talk about. Because I don't want to do a 3-hour stream. 2 hours, it will be fine. I don't care. But you wanted to talk about what, nationalism, right? That was your original topic.
Oh, I don't even remember at this point.
Okay, well then fine. I'll lead it into border protection. That's why we have border laws. Now, I still defend my position on an Ellis Island style immigration policy. But that does include, I mean, this is the technical age, right? It's 2020. Background checks. Like I have a background check to buy a gun. You should have a background check to come to Disneyland. Sorry.
You're sort of supposed to do, like, if you do it legitimately, like if like as like me personally, right, I go to the US Embassy in Sydney, I hand over my passport, they keep it for a couple of days, and then it comes back with a visa. In that couple of days, they were checking me out, making sure that I didn't have a criminal record, because that's one precursor that doesn't allow, is not supposed to allow people to enter the United States. Well, criminal record within reason. I mean, like if you're fucking shoplifting when you were 10, like they're not going to give a fuck about that. But if you beat your wife every night and fucking murdered a cop, well, yeah, you can take a flying leap. And like this is the way it was supposed to go. Like they check you out, make sure you weren't a security risk, that you weren't going over there to go and shoot somebody, or especially you weren't going over there to stay permanently, contrary to your visa. And I'm not entirely sure how some of these nasties actually do get in, but the large majority of them are illegals. They just simply haven't gone through the process. They haven't been vetted.
Well, a lot of it is the student visa process.
Yep, and going back to what you were saying before there too, where they were saying about, poor minorities, you got to let them in. They've already done that. Yeah, I saw that fucking coming. It was right at the beginning when we were saying we should have shut our borders down, locked our airports off, banned any cunt from fucking China coming anywhere near the place. What did the Chinese say? Oh, but our students. Oh, you mean students in universities where communism and socialism and all this kind of shit gets fucking thrown around, right? Yeah, those students. Yeah, those students. They're going to miss their studies. Oh, fuck them. You cunts reckon you're so good. Why aren't they going to your schools? Why are they coming out here? Why do they absolutely have to come out here? Is it because they're infected too? Is it because they're fifth colonists? Is it because they're here to be sleeper cells? Huh? Oh, that's racist. I'll get fucked. I guess that's probably the reason why we've got a problem with China. But it's already been done.
Yeah, and it has. It's already been done. The University of Oregon down in Eugene, a 45 or 50% of them are Chinese nationals. I mean, some of, and then you have locals, right? And then you have other people also that come just to go to the U of O. It's a really good arts college.
Yeah,
So,
and blind communist influence from fucking China has already reared its ugly head out here. There's a university in Brisbane where there's a large proportion of Chinese nationals and Uyghurs. Uyghur Muslims, and the Uyghurs are being oppressed by the Chinese and all this kind of stuff, but they're Muslims, so they don't really fucking garner any sympathy from me. But as a minority and being fucked over by the Chinese, you're sort of like, well, your enemy's my enemy, so fucking so in this university, there's been protests and all this kind of stuff, and there's like a story that's come out. There's one white Australian dude who was standing up for the Uyghurs. And the fucking Chinese Communist Party in Beijing rang the dean of this university and said, this cunt's causing trouble, kick him out. And they fucking did.
wow.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to cover more Australian news, I think. Not too much because, majority of the people that watch are from North America or Britain, but wow, there's some crazy shit happening over there. I watch Barons, so I catch up on a lot of this crazy shit. And you release your stuff mainly over here, or Exiled is where you're at, or else I'd watch your channel. But you might want to think about doing Australian news, like 15 minutes, the bullshit, in Australia or whatever.
Well, I kind of was doing that with South Australia because, well, the South Australians were mainly the reasons why we had the big bushfires and the reason why we didn't have Tony Abbott as our prime minister during the fires because, well, what would we want him for? Maybe because he was a fucking firefighter. Like the South Australians have got a lot to answer for, and I was doing segments on like retardation coming out of fucking South Australia, and as soon as the virus hit, you had the Victorians just go and hold my beer.
Doku, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. I want to transfer over right before COVID hit. Your governor was losing his shit about guns. Has he said anything about the rise in gun purchasing?
No, he hasn't said shit.
Well, there you go. See, well, that, the next person that says, oh, the COVID-19 is just this guy's agenda and all this. Well, you haven't heard about his agenda since the COVID-19, so it sort of kind of dictates he didn't really have an agenda in the first place.
Either
Well,
that.
it's a fucking pussy. I mean, let's be honest. He's a fucking bitch.
Yeah, are you sure about that? Because I would be worried that he's doing what my governor's doing and just passing shit, and you're just not hearing about it.
No, he's a fucking bitch. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's a puppet. Yeah, I'm more concerned about the Virginia legislature, but Northam himself. No, he's a fucking puppet. He's a bitch.
How long until they close down the Confederate White House Museum and just say, you know what, Richmond was never a part of the Confederacy? This almost seems like, or the Capitol is what I meant, but this almost seems like the beginning of 1984.
Well, the thing is, he can't because that building is actually a federal building, not a state building. He doesn't have the ability to do it. It's a federal building.
Well, then why?
He's tried, but it's a federal building. It's not a state building.
Did you hear about President Trump signing in a protection order on all monuments as federal property, pretty much?
Oh, yeah.
About time. I think
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, no, go ahead, Farty. Go for it.
Well, yeah, it's not going to stop him from getting pulled down.
Well, it looks like people should learn how to use marble again to create statues, because how much you want to bet if he wins, they all come back up?
Well, just on that as well. I mean, this is another thing of like it's symbolic. They're tearing down America as a whole from inside. They're tearing down your history. They're tearing down your culture. They're tearing down your traditions. All this kind of stuff. And it's the Antifa and the BLM cunts that are doing it. And of course, it's all part and parcel of what they've been told by Winnie the Pooh.
And I know we're all just armchair quarterbacks here, pretty much. But shit, dude, I watch nothing but news all day to prep for these shows. So, I think we all three kind of know a little bit of what we're talking about. Just saying.
Oh yeah, like once China does kick off, don't worry. Like all this BLM Antifa shit will just disappear, especially when everyone pulls their heads out of their asses and realizes we've got to work together now, whether we like it or not.
But I think we seem to be winding down here, and we hit an hour. So thank you, everybody. I know Dade left, but Goatman is still here. Thank you, guys, for the super chats. I appreciate it. And I'm going to try and do, I'll either do a video tonight before my wife gets back with all the kids and release that tomorrow, or I'll do a live stream. Any last words, guys?
I'm good.
Want to show your Twitter?
Actually, no.
All right. Good night. Good luck. And I usually say don't go to France, but keep an eye on the South China Sea. All right, guys. Good night.